quick little disclaimer before we get through with today's episode of Why I Want. It's no question that Why I Wants have been the absolute lowest viewed videos on the channel. Compared to the streams, compared to the trade rumors, compared to the updates of stuff that we have actually seen happen, Why I Wants get the lowest amount of views, and it's not even close. However, that is no reason for me to not do these videos. I'm not doing this because I'm getting the views and because I want to make a boatload of money. If I wanted to make a boatload of money, I would not do Why I Wants. Instead, we're making Why I Want videos because I just really like to talk about prospects. And I do feel kind of guilty because last year we kind of slacked off. We only made 10 Why I Want videos. This year we're planning in the 25 plus range. So we're continuing on with this series. No matter how many views we get, these are the videos that are the absolute most fun for me to make because talking about the future and talking about the young guys is a very intriguing part of the world of sports. So thank you to those in the previous video for Matthew Coronado who commented in the comments section below. All for one, if you want a chance to be featured in the next Why I Want, then stick around to the end of this video. Today we're talking about the Anomaly himself, and yeah, that's right, I'm calling him the Anomaly, because this is a guy whose name you have definitely heard of before if you've been paying any attention to NHL draft prospects or international tournaments over the past few years. Today we're talking about CSKA Moscow left-handed defenseman Daniil Chayka. Because he is a 2021 NHL eligible prospect who is a pretty big guy. He's 6'3", 185 pounds, born in October of 2002, making him one of the oldest players eligible for the 2021 draft. You've probably heard Chayka's name before because he had previously been playing in the OHL with the Guelph Storm. He made his debut on that team in 2018-19 after being a top drafted prospect in the OHL draft from the Toronto Junior Canadiens in the Greater Toronto Hockey League over there. In that system, I believe they won a championship, and he was a pretty good producer offensively. In his rookie season with the OHL, he added on to the accolades, as he ended up winning the OHL championship. That was the team that had Nick Suzuki and all the other really good players over there, and they ended up winning it all in 2018-19. Last year, in 2019-20, we saw what was probably the best out of Daniil Chayka. He had 34 points in 56 games played, one of the top defensemen in the entire OHL in points, and he showcased all these skills that made us think, wow, he could be a really good prospect in the 2021 draft, where the first overall pick is not set in stone, and we have all these other guys like Carson, Lambos, and William Eklund, and Brandt, Clarke, that could be good top players as well. Daniil Chayka was kind of considered in that boat a few months before the 2021 draft season started, and the reasons were pretty simple. Back in the OHL, Daniil Chayka displayed himself off as a really good defensive shutdown guy who could contribute offense. He had a long reach and he used it well, especially in defensive transitions. He could cut plays away from the opposition, use his stick to swipe the puck away, and transition the play forward. In the offensive zone, he had a really good slap shot, a one-timer that he would use consistently on the power play to power pucks by opponents' goalies, and he also had some skill in tight that he could use too. He could waltz in front of the net, dangle a little bit, and then score some nice goals that way. Obviously, for a big guy, you know, the handles aren't going to be the best in the world, but they were somewhat there for the most part. Add to this the fact that even though he was a big guy, he was really mobile, really smooth skater, calm and poised with the puck. He had all the makings of being just a really nice transitional guy. Good in the offensive zone, even better coming back the other way, and just a somewhat overall package. Even some of the scouting reports and the things that people had been saying about this guy a year ago were really positive. This article is from October of 2019, before that OHL season that really put him on the map as a top guy. Talking about Chayka and his overall leadership position on the squad. He said that it was his second season, so he feels like when he gets more ice time, he has more confidence. It was a big experience playing for the national team, big thing for him to go back there and speak Russian for a couple of weeks as well. He likes playing high-level hockey, and he wasn't really all too tired either, despite playing a whole bunch of games over the previous year. He had been seen as more of a leader figure with the Guelph Storm, talking about how everybody works hard, everyone is good together, and they stick up for each other. And we have 5 Russians too. It's always nice when you can speak to someone in your language, but the coach is not very happy about us speaking in Russian, he said with a mischievous laugh. The best part is, at the very end, sometimes I cannot wait for my draft year. But I have more time, so I will continue to work on my game. And yeah, he had a really good time working in the CHL. He's excited for his draft year, which would have been 2020-2021. He had all the assets, the two-way ability, the offensive game, and the defensive shutdown abilities as well. He was all around. But his draft year, oh boy, his draft year, my gosh, let's get into his draft year. So he played 35 games, spread across the CSKA Moscow team in the KHL, Zvezda Moscow team in the VHL, Krasnaya Armia on Moscow in the MHL as well, while also suiting up for playoff games in the VHL and the MHL. Not to mention the World Juniors, where he was on the under-20 team and all that. He didn't really produce over there either. But overall, he didn't really get too many points. And you can see the production over here. The bulk of it came in the MHL, which is the Russian Junior League. It's pretty much the CHL of Russia. The pro leagues in the VHL and the KHL, pretty much the NHL and AHL equivalents in Russia, did not see him produce a ton. And the problem with that isn't really something that Daniil Chayka had too much control over. Because, as it's been noted by people like Will Scouching, for example, he highlights this very nicely in his recent edition of Scouching Live, Daniil Chayka, who was noted for having this offensive touch to his game in the OHL where he could wind up for slap shots, join rushes, and showcase his skill, completely did not do any of that in the KHL, in the VHL, in the Russian pro system in general. It's almost like they were telling him not to do that stuff, not to cross the center ice line with the puck, make very safe, very conservative plays, and just be a defensive rock. And for the most part, he did that. He would only really pass the puck D to D on breakouts, he would just hang out in the neutral zone and the blue line every time the team was in the offensive zone, really wouldn't get involved that way, and he was pretty much just used as a defensive guy only. And to be frank, even though he was in this position in the KHL, he wasn't really the most consistent defensively this year either. There would be some plays once in a while where he would get absolutely burnt, but I mean, he's going from playing CHL hockey to playing against the best hockey league in the world, not named the National Hockey League, so it's a little bit more forgivable in my opinion than not. And before we get into the projections and the ceiling of this guy, this is what Instat Hockey provided to us on Twitter. Instat is the service that has data tracking analysis profiles for a whole bunch of players, not just of hockey, but of all sorts of sports. And they posted the statistical profile for Daniil Chayka this season. 35 games played, 2 goals. It should say 8 points, I believe, because assists is just incorrect. He did play 35 games, though, in total in the KHL, VHL, and MHL, and the playoffs combined. And you take a look at what this guy was able to do in the Russian hockey leagues. 49% of his shots were on net. Okay, he likes to shoot the puck a lot. Unfortunately, this season it was a little bit more miss than hit than you would have liked to. 2.1 Corsi, okay. 0.06 expected goals for per game. Yeah, that's going to happen when you play the way that Daniil Chayka plays this season. 0.14 scoring chances per game. Yeah, so maybe a really good scoring chance once every 7 or 8 games. Not the best, a lot better last year. You could definitely say it's chalked up to the system that he was playing in, though. Here's the big thing that I also wanted to highlight. 1.69 puck entries into the offensive zone per game. So for every hockey game that he plays, he only enters the offensive zone with the puck once? Like, come on. Some of these other defensemen in the draft, and at higher levels of hockey as well, you'd see them enter the offensive zone with the puck maybe like twice or thrice a period. For Daniil Chayka to play in such a way where he only does this once a game kind of indicates the entire strategy CSKA Moscow is trying to use on this guy. And because he's so polarizing, he is the anomaly, for crying out loud. He had all this good stuff last year, but this year he's not showing any of it off. He's ranked all over the place. His consolidated ranking is 30th. Elite Prospects has him at 77th, which would be about the early 3rd round. TSN and Bob McKenzie, they have him at 19, so that's a lot higher. Future Considerations has him at 39. TSN and Craig Button, there's a 21 rating right there. Sportsnet, 24. Recruit Scouting, 32. Smart Scouting, 39. But 13th by the Puck Authority right here, so they're still very high on this guy and his overall profile. So the question is, where do you go from here? Because Chayka is a really intriguing prospect that does have tools that I think are projectable at the NHL level. It's just he had a really bad year when it comes to being able to show those tools off. It's the system that he played in the KHL and the overall effectiveness of what he was able to do that's really pulling him down draft boards. In my opinion, though, he really shouldn't be there at the end of the second round. I would probably say by the mid-second round at the latest, that's where he probably should go, because at the end of the day, you know, if he's able to rewire the way he plays in order to get back to that OHL version of Chayka, the leader, the offensive producer, the power play boom-boom slap shot right there, I think, combined with the really solid defensive strategies this guy is able to manage, you could have a pretty good top 4 defenseman if everything goes right. You just don't want him to develop his game more so in the way he played this season in KHL, VHL, and MHL play. Well, I guess he was producing an MHL play, so not that. And more like the way he was producing against other kids his age. So if you think you're going to be able to do that, I wouldn't be surprised to see Chayka maybe even go as high as somewhere in the 20s. But it really just depends on what these NHL teams are seeing and what their projections are. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Daniil Chayka over here. If you made it to the end, comment in the comment section below Ronald Reagan, because the Anomaly is a thing in Black Ops Cold War Zombies, and in the Cold War campaign, Ronald Reagan is indeed a character, so there's the funny connection right there. Thank you so much for commenting that, though. It lets me know if you made it to the end of the video, also for a chance to be featured in the next Why I Want. That will be your ticket. So talk to me in the comments what you think about all this stuff, Ronald Reagan, Chayka, and more. I hope you enjoyed this Mr. Rosen 99, and bye.